Oh yeah, I forgot to ask. Can we talk about the new Arctic Monkeys album?
Yes,
as well?
it's brilliant.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it's about what you want, you lot.
All right.
Do what you want.
Well, actually, James, I had an idea.
What?
Because you're a sort of more of a music aficionado, with modern music anyway, than Jay is. True.
Yeah.
That if we could do like a spin-off, like just talk about latest releases or something like that as an idea for a show.
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
gigs and that. So we got quite a few gigs. So.
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that.
Alright.
We'll do that.
That's what I mean. As something separate.
We need to start thinking of segments. We'll have a chat after the.
Well, not it doesn't have to be segments. We could do like separate.
No, but like recurring
Yeah.
bits.
Yeah.
Sorry, go on.
All right.
Oh, we're live apparently.
Hello.
Wait, we're not, because I haven't faded it over yet.
All right.
I'll give you the thumbs up.
I've only got sound. Someone's saying they've got sound,
Can you hear us?
That's good.
but no video.
Lights are up. Yeah, that'll do.
This is
Apparently, our mics are up.
Go.
our mics up.
That's a great start.
There were people out there thinking that we
Who
were
is this? Who is this producer? Hey, Mr. Young.
He was out.
Apparently, I've been looking at the comments saying people say they can hear us. Can they see us? Audio one, but no video. I think you can see us now. Can you see us now? Tell you what, that is one smooth transition. Hey, that's the sort of professionalism you get at Scotty and Motty. How are you doing?
I'm better than that intro. I'm good, man. I'm good. I had a fucking cracking weekend, and my phone's been hacked to shit.
Yeah, what's going on? Talk about everyone. Get involved in the chat and the comment. And we want to discuss this. Is important. What happened with your phone? Because you messaged me on Twitter.
Yeah, it's basically every time I send or anyone sends me a message to get a message back saying that this number is no longer in use. My emails are getting like fucking been blocked out of two
Really?
accounts. Yeah, can't get any calls. It's just going.
So someone's hacked into your phone.
Yeah, but unfortunately, all my social media's got that two-step verification. So,
Right.
so I think that's what's happened anyway. But so I can't access WhatsApp or anything like that. So I'm quite happy though, to be honest. It's nice to have that little bit of. I'll speak to you when I want to speak to you.
When did you find out this had happened?
Saturday, I think.
What does your phone started going a bit silly?
And then sent me says like they got a reply from them. I'm like, oh shit. What's going on here?
Really?
And I've tried loads of different stuff, and I had about a few pints by then, so I thought it was just beer related. I woke up on Sunday, and obviously it wasn't.
That's a hassle, that though, isn't it? Hey, seriously. Do you know what I mean?
I'm a cup full, half full type of guy, rather than half empty. So I'm trying to embrace the change, and I like it. You know, somebody put it on Twitter the other week. It was that Frank Cottrell Boyce who wrote 24-Hour Party People, the writer, and he said,
really?
Yeah, he wrote, and he said that he has gone back to a Nokia 3210 or a non-smartphone.
Yeah.
He's really enjoying the change of not being contactable and everything. So yeah, I don't mind it, to be honest.
I know what you mean, because I sometimes get too attached to my phone. It is nice just, even like when I took the kids swimming, and when one of them's swimming, the other one's on my phone.
Yeah.
And it's only like half-hour lesson, so it's an hour basically, me not having my phone. And it's a nice little break, you know what I mean? Even though it's only an hour, just think, you know what?
It's the hassle as well, like WhatsApp groups, I don't miss them.
WhatsApp groups?
Yeah, they're the ones that are always going off.
Yeah, honestly, I've muted loads of them. And I need to unmute some of them. Some are like family group chats, and then you look ignorant, don't you? When you know, someone says Auntie Pam's died, and you've not replied for 4 days.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And everyone's like, oh, I'm sorry to hear that. And it's like, you just look like you can't be asked replying.
Yeah.
But it's not because you muted it, because you're sick of all the back and forth.
My family WhatsApp group's just like our front room at Christmas. It's like my dad leaves every 5 seconds. And someone's trying to drag him back.
I've done them once. I've left the family group chat in a huff. And then asked to be put back in when I've calmed down over nothing. Just me spitting me dummy out. And that's it. Big statement of intent. I'm leaving the family group chat.
Because there's no tone, is there, as well?
No. You know what I mean?
I know when my dad's angry and my mum's kicking off and stuff.
And then it's like, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that. Can I come back in? James, Mr. Young.
Yeah.
I don't want to distract you from your producing duties because you've been smashing it. Hey, I love it. At least they don't get angry. Like some producers, they make mistakes, or they like shout at you and go, "You're live," and he's like, "Oh yeah, you're live." Oh yeah.
I don't know why that happened, because normally if it's on the slate and the mics are up, I can't hear you. So I don't know what's going on with that.
Well, our viewers got involved, and this is what we call like proper sort of team effort. They help produce it as well. They let us know. Santa Notch makes a great point though. He says, "Oh, look at us, we have a video as well as audio. Call this a podcast? Pathetic."
It's authentic actually, because it's as if you've just walked into a pub and you've just joined in the conversation.
Yeah, and if you walked into a pub now, great segue. Most of the conversation maybe centred around the fact we've got a new Prime Minister.
Another one.
Do you know what I was working out before, Scotty? In my first 27 years on planet Earth, I had 3 Prime Ministers. Right. And 1 monarch. And in the last 7 weeks, we've had 3 Prime Ministers and 2 monarchs. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? I mean, obviously the monarch things, that's neither here nor there. But the amount of Prime Ministers we're going through, it's a bit much, isn't it?
Well, we knew. Well, first of all, after last week's podcast, wasn't even last week. Last Wednesday, we did a show called "Who's Going to Win the Sack Race?"
Yeah,
and on the same
who won that?
I think it's the only thing that Gerrard won at Villa.
Yeah, if you didn't see us last week, we did who's going to win the sack race, right? And it was Truss and Gerrard, because we felt that like they were both walking the plank, shall we say? And I think Truss announced she was leaving, but technically she was still Prime Minister when Gerrard got sacked.
Right, okay.
So
so you've even taken that away from Stevie G?
Yeah, because when did she stop being Prime Minister?
She's actually still got it on her bio.
Right, so she outlasted him, technically, even though she announced she was going, by like 2 days or something.
We've literally had nothing to celebrate while he's been at Villa Park.
No.
Gutted.
It was bad, but it wasn't bad. His record was shocking, though, wasn't it?
Were you surprised it was Rishi Sunak? There was obviously rumours and rumblings that Boris Johnson was flying back from the Bahamas. That's quite poetic. At the weekend to come back and seize the moment. Seize the moment.
Well, yeah, he could have done. I don't know. I mean, anyone who watches me or watches follows me on Twitter or watches any of the podcasts, even the Stretford Paddock ones, I always sort of get political on him, even though I always say I'm not getting political, but I'm not a big fan of the Tories, and I don't really think there was a standout one where I go, oh, they're all right. Maybe Penny Mordaunt was less offensive to me than Boris Johnson or Rishi Sunak. But
why is Rishi Sunak offensive?
Not massive. I just feel like Rishi Sunak has said the quiet bits out loud over the last few months. When he went for it with Truss, he basically did that speech, didn't he? In Royal Tunbridge Wells or whatever. When he went, tell you what, I took money out of them deprived areas and put it into these affluent areas. I'm paraphrasing slightly, but that was what he was basically saying. He's also, when Truss was making all these promises, to be fair, she couldn't keep with all this, we're going to do this and tax cuts and all this money. And from what I gather, and please get involved in the comments and the chat, because I'm not always au fait with the latest machinations of the political process or certainly the Tory party. I get a feeling he was sort of gearing up towards austerity again.
Yeah.
Like you're going to have to make tough decisions and cuts and stuff. So I've got a feeling that we might be heading towards austerity. Youngie, am I right or wrong? Because you're a bit more switched on than I am.
Well, I think so. I mean, if you look at his economic policy, I think the whole furlough thing was a bit of a cover-up for people to think that he was going to invest loads of money when he had to do that as Chancellor. And I think the things that we saw after that, I mean, he's very much, he's got this image as, I'm actually different to the other ones, but he's still a Conservative, and a lot of his economic policies was very similar to, Thatcher and Cameron, and he's going to continue that because the country's in a lot of debt, and he would argue that, well, we can't spend any more money, there's no magic money tree and all that bollocks, so...
There's no magic money tree, he loves that.
What difference does it make then, really, to our lives?
Well, how soon is now? That's what you ask yourself.
Well, it's true though, isn't it? I mean, would you class him as this charming man? I'm not sure. All right, okay. I've only just got what you're on about. Yeah. Heaven knows I'm miserable now.
Yeah, exactly. Nice.
I saw a great tweet that said Rishi Sunak has proved to all little South Asian kids that if your parents send you to a 46k per annum Winchester college, you become a banker and profit from millions from financial crash, from austerity, and throw under POC under the bus, and you too can be PM. Inspirational.
On that though, I mean, that's obviously tongue in cheek. There's an argument going around on social media, and maybe, not just on social media, maybe in the real world. Sorry, just quickly, I'll get in some of the comments, and then we'll get into my point I'm going to make. Guitar Man Dan 92 says, is the guy speaking now the guy who used to be on the podcast? Yes, and he's still on the podcast.
He's still here.
He's still here, he's just not got a camera.
We promoted him.
Promoted him more like, he's now in charge.
Joe got sick of us, basically.
Yeah.
It's just us three now.
David Jones says, eat out to help out was BS, and we locked back down again in weeks, and he was responsible for it. So what chance have we got? It's a good question. And just with Sunak, it's weird, isn't it, right? Because there's part of me that you feel right, and I think I mentioned this on my Twitter a little while ago. I think he's the first British Asian to be Prime Minister. Well, I don't know why I'm saying I think. I'm positive he is. Yeah. So that, in a way, you can look at it and go, and that maybe, I don't know, it's like, okay, that's a step, a historic moment, and it's diversity, and it's great, and this is something that should be celebrated, and, non-white people might be looking at this and going, this is, fantastic news. But I personally, I can only speak for myself, don't feel like that, because I feel like this is a guy who, yes, we want to see diversity in politics. Of course we do. And you want to see people of different ethnicities get into the highest offices in the land. But I feel like someone who's white and working class probably speaks more to me than someone who's a similar colour to me or the same colour as me, who is from a uber rich family and, has untold wealth and is to the right of the political spectrum.
Yeah.
I don't feel like this is some of the, for me personally, I'm going, yes, I get in there. Yes, my brother. It doesn't feel like that to me, because I feel like this is a person who, yes, we might have similar skin colour, but we couldn't be more different if we tried.
Yeah, I get that.
You know what I mean? Like, and that's not necessarily a criticism. I'm not criticising people for being well off.
I mean, that would that have been the same view when Barack Obama got in the White House and for black people who were on the right?
I mean, that's a point that some of the right-wing black commentators make now, like Candace Owens and people like that. That, I think Condoleezza Rice or someone made that point, like, this doesn't speak to me like it does to others. So, I mean, I think America's always a bit different with their attitude towards race, and it seems a little bit, like there's a lot more going on there with it because of the effects of slavery and the effects of the civil rights movement. I'm not saying Britain's some sort of civil rights utopia, it ain't, but I always feel America's slightly different. But I just feel like, yeah, it doesn't. I heard this argument being made when we had the point where you'd had a sort of I think a British Asian chancellor. Forgive me, I'm getting these wrong, but like Sajid Javid, I think has been chancellor. We've obviously had Rishi Sunak, Suella Braverman, and Priti Patel have been, I think, Home Secretary. I know Suella Braverman's like blinking, you'll miss. My point is that you've had diverse people in these positions of power in the great offices of state. Yeah. Now, does that warm your heart as someone who's non-white? Am I going, oh, this is great to see? But I feel like
to you though. It mattered to you, though, Jay. But you're more politically aware as to the policies and what the Tory parties think. But if you're sort of young and Asian and you're not politically aware and you are seeing people in power of a colour, it might not be aspirational and stuff, but it's a bit more sort of normalised behaviour that there is diversity within the political system. But I understand what you mean. It's like Liz Truss didn't speak for all women.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing as well, and I think like some of the people that have got into these positions, like Priti Patel and Suella Braverman, were very right wing. Suella Braverman said her dream was to see flights landing in Uganda. That was a dream. I mean, she was sacked 2 days later, so that didn't happen. But that was
they still got an airport.
Yeah. You know what I mean? She can always go on Photoshop. Heaven Soul says, as a Bangladeshi, I just can't associate him with the same struggles that a working class person will go through, white or person of colour. He's just wealthy and that's it, own spectrum and class. Pra Senju Sinar says, he's from the working class, he just married rich, that's just smart. No, he's not. He went to a school. Yeah, he went to Winchester College, I think, which is 48 grand a year or whatever it is. He's rich, but I think his wife is even richer. But I think he came from a sort of a wealthy background. He's married into an even wealthier one. Juicy Loose 9 says class comes first with people like him. Someone else saying, I'm not sure, I can hear an awful echo behind your mic. I don't know if you can hear that or no one else has mentioned it.
He's speaking a bit, but I can't. What mic are you?
I'm on the grey one.
Was that one?
The grey, I don't think so. The grey wire, if you can see there. So yeah, maybe we can turn that down a little bit. Maybe we can try and sort that.
Talking there about class issues and stuff. Yeah. Do you think class is more of a division than colour?
It's a very good question.
Answer it then.
Sorry, Rwanda. I don't know what I said earlier. Rwanda, the flights to Rwanda. Yeah, I do.
I think so.
I don't think Kwasi Kwarteng, that was the other one who was the Chancellor, one of the other Tory that was obviously from an ethnic minority background. I don't think Kwasi Kwarteng has anything in common with me.
No.
And, despite the fact we're from, an ethnic minority background, I wouldn't look at him and go, he's got more in common with me than, say, Gordon Brown did when he was Chancellor.
Kwasi Kwarteng's got more in common.
I wouldn't say
Oh,
that.
right, yeah, right, yeah.
Because Kwasi Kwarteng, I don't think speaks to me or for me, and I don't think his experience is the same as mine. And I do think that yes, you will have things you've both had to do. I'm sure he's had to deal with racism in his life.
Of course, yeah.
He had to deal with it not only recently when the Daily Mail published the wrong picture of him, and I don't care what anyone says. That's just racist drivel. You know what I mean? They all look the same nonsense. And I thought he handled it really well. He also had to deal with racism from someone in the Labour Party said that he's the wrong type of, or he's not black, he's superficially black, and I think that's racist nonsense. And you know,
you can't say that.
No, and I wouldn't have that if it was a Tory saying it about Labour.
What the fuck does that mean?
Yeah, he's not superficially black. He's a black man who just might share different views to you, but he is a black
there is
man.
some sort of prototype black.
Yeah, and I hate all that.
That's
I hate
terrible.
that. That's disgusting. And I'm not going to sit here and say he's not a black man. He is.
His blackness is as much as yours.
Yeah, and in fact, you know, he's darker than I am. You know what I mean? Like both his parents, from what I gather, are black. Where obviously me, I'm mixed race. So I don't think it's you know, it's right to say that. I just feel that I have more in common with, I feel personally, with working class people who've been through some of the struggles that I go through than with wealthy people from an ethnic minority background. And I always find the whole sort of grouping everyone, people of colour, as one big group.
As a group themselves. I was talking about this yesterday, actually.
Like, you know, is someone from who's British, South Asian and rich the same, or forget the richness part, are they the same as someone from a Caribbean, Afro-Caribbean background, or from an African background? Is it all just, well, we're all just brown and that's the same?
Yeah.
Or is it actually, there's a lot more to it than that? And I think as society has shown, you know, I hate when I hear the term black vote. Do you remember we used to hear that? Oh, I remember there was a thing, I think Sol Campbell said once, you know, I could help the Tories get the black vote. And he wasn't the first person to say it. I just remember sticking in my mind and I think, what is the black vote? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's black people that own businesses. There's black people that, are in the very high sort of levels of business and wealth. There's black people that are struggling. There's black people whose main concern might be LGBT rights. There's black people whose main concern maybe they want to see corporation tax lowered. Yeah, you know, it's not like you've got one issue that all black people go like lemmings. Well, that's it. We're all going to vote for that.
Yeah. In fact, it's probably only racism that's the one thing that you can that you can probably all agree on. And I think that's what when we were saying before. What's the biggest source of division between class or colour? It's like it's easy to sort of homogenise people by class because it's done by wealth, and that's something that, you know, it's accountable, isn't it? Yeah. Whereas you can't do that with people of colour.
Yeah. No, agree.
Of any colour.
In fact, you find it harder in a way, especially Priti Patel, because of her background, when she talks about wanting to deport people to Rwanda when her parents came as refugees.
Yeah, they came from Uganda, was it? I think they chucked them out. I'll go through some of the chats. Loads of people getting involved in the chats. Great comments. Santa Notch says, upper and elite class create division more than anyone else. King Dino says, what makes someone qualify as working class, middle class, etc.? I think, we
had this conversation with Joel Smith off camera a couple of weeks ago when he went on the phone. Then you've got to be earning over a certain amount of money, and I think if you're university educated, that's classed as...
It's about income mainly.
Yes, it's income mainly.
Has the level risen now? Because when I was growing up, if you earned over 25k, you were loaded. And now, I think is that even the average? Do you know what I mean?
I don't think it's as... there's more to it now, isn't there? Because you have working class. I think you have lower working class. Yeah. So I think there's variations.
Well,
they keep moving the wrong up.
Certain sociologists would argue that there's actually an underclass of people that aren't even working. Right. Just claim universal income, and then there's different arguments to say. I mean, there's people on the far right who would say that they're scrounging off the state and they're not earning any money or contributing to society, and then there's other people who are saying, well, they're stuck in that situation because there's no future for them, basically. So it's quite complicated.
It is complicated, and it's very difficult to just label someone as that or that or that. But I think there are levels. It's a good question, and one we can get into. Pra Senju Sinha says Rishi Sunak's wife should buy Man United. That might help him gain some sympathy. Well, maybe. It depends what she did with it, but yeah.
You get the red vote.
Yeah, nice. Rupa Hack. Or Hark, the Labour MP for Ealing, the one who made the comment about Kwasi not being superficially black. Yeah, a moronic comment that's
gone though off the back of that.
Sorry? That's a lady, Rupert Hack. I think, she got suspended by the party. So I think she's still an MP, but I think she was suspended by the Labour Party for saying just stupidness. Heaven Soul says, identity politics works both ways, and what you often get is the super wealthy try to distract from their wealth by pretending they have the same struggles as those within their racial background. I think
it is a good balance to sort of fight on to not protest, to campaign on.
Yeah, definitely. Also, Heaven Soul says Sunak is a prime example of that. Pretending he eats at McDonald's, uses contactless, or fills up his Ford at the petrol station. Did you see him using his contactless on a shop?
It was a petrol station.
No, there was one. Was it a petrol station? Yeah, there was one where he went inside. And he was touching, I don't know, he was buying something like, I don't know, let's say a Mars bar or whatever, and he was touching that bit where you pay, like with your card, or he was like, with his item there. And then it was just obvious he didn't know what he was doing. It was like, I remember years ago, George Bush did it, senior, where he was like fascinated by using a swipe thing. And it was like, these people like
a caveman.
Yeah. Like you can, listen, I don't buy into the idea that just because you're rich, you can't go into politics, you can't help others. That's nonsense. You can. But it does look like, this guy just is completely out of touch with certain things, certainly with how to use a bloody contactless.
His speech and the awkward pause at the end.
What is it, right? Are we just being led by cyborgs? Like, why can't they act like humans? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They all look dead awkward. And I wouldn't mind, right? Sunak's done hundreds of speeches. He's done dozens of interviews. He's someone who faced the media in the middle of coronavirus and answered questions. It's not like he doesn't know how to do media appearances. And then all of a sudden you see him acting like, he's been programmed in a lab.
The only thing I can think of, I mean, we both worked on TV and radio and stuff, is that the auto cue, there must have been a space between the end of the speech and then somewhere, like, he had to scroll down loads for it to say end of speech, and he just stood there, like, waiting for something else.
Right,
he's obviously not had time to rehearse his speech. I think that's my problem.
Right, okay. Has that happened to you?
No, because I'm a professional.
Good lad. Hey, you can ad-lib.
He
Do you know what I mean?
Sunglasses on a podcast on a rainy night.
Ed says, Motti, you should run, mate. I'd vote for you. We have got a Patreon, by the way. I've put a link in the chat. Go and check that out. Listen, times are hard, whether you're working class, middle class, upper class, whatever. Times are hard. It's £2 a month. Extra video content. You're still going to get your live vids. You're still going to get other vids on this channel. But you get extra video content and articles, don't you?
Yeah, man. There's a good article coming at the end of this show.
Yeah, so extra content on the Patreon. There's a link in the chat. £2 a month. Go and check it out. And obviously, make sure you subscribe into this channel regardless of that. Should we talk about something a bit more interesting than the Prime Minister of Great Britain?
Before we do that,
who cares?
Can we have the chat that we were going to have before about what's lasted longer in your fridge?
Go on. I like this. James Young has come up with a great idea.
Liz Truss, how many days was she Prime Minister for?
44. Right.
So, I've got some chicken Kievs in my freezer that have been in there longer than she has as Prime Minister. What have you had in your fridge or freezer that has been in there longer?
What have you had in your freezer or your fridge?
Your freezer, well, everything can last in your freezer, James. That's how it works.
Yeah, but you might have eaten it in that time space.
I've had some fresh pasta in my fridge, I think, that lasted longer than her. I found it at the back of the fridge the other day.
I don't really keep much long in the fridge. I cook everything before I go out doing the shop.
Do you?
Yeah, I'll fuck it all off before I go.
Do you not ever find something at the back of your fridge?
No, because I don't go out buying more food until I've made sure that I can use everything within there.
Right, okay. Our fridge is a minefield sometimes. I've got cheese in there that's been in there longer. It's still in date. I think it don't run out till the 23rd of November.
Oh, speaking about things in fridges, have you watched that Dharma documentary?
Yeah. The documentary.
No, documentary, the
Netflix,
I can't get to the end of it because it just freaks the shit out of me.
Do you know what? You're probably better off missing the last 3 episodes anyway. It gets a bit boring.
I watched the one where it had where he kills the deaf dude.
Yeah, that was horrible.
Yeah.
Well, they're all
horrible.
Yeah, they're all horrible. It's a bit sad.
When I thought the early ones, when you knew he was up to, but it was sort of showing the backstory and stuff, that freaked the fuck out of me. I mean, if you're looking for something to do over Halloween and you want to get scared,
I mean, listen, I don't want to be, critical of anyone who's doing the job, but those coppers were shy, weren't they?
Yeah, when they actually brought the young lad back,
took him back into the flat where the guy's going to kill him.
They got suspended and they got the jobs back.
And then they got awarded a commendation or something. I mean, it was just horrible. Like, it was pathetic, and we saw it's just they said a gay lovers tiff, they called it. And it's a young lad that's been bloody kidnapped and drugged and then murdered. Yeah, there was a few that, and the smell coming from the flat where the woman was saying like something going down here
for years. She's been going to the police. It's well worth checking out if you're into that sort of thing. I couldn't get to this.
A few people in the chat have got in. Your missus has said that bottle of prosecco has lasted since Mother's Day.
Oh yeah, there you go. Well done, Vaughnie, my lady friend, saying there. Yeah, I bought her a bottle of prosecco and it's been there since Mother's Day.
Is that because you never give her a night off?
Yeah. I tried to think of some witty answer, but she hasn't got time to be drinking prosecco because
a model mother and would never like drink prosecco while her husband's a husband.
Do you know what? It's opposites attract, right? Because I always admire my missus that because when I used to drink, I couldn't have anything in the fridge that was alcoholic for like an hour before it'd gone, and she can have it in there for weeks and not be bothered.
Do you not walk past and like, you're not drinking that?
Yeah, do you know what I mean? I remember when I met her, like she used to have like a cider or something after work, and I'd be like, one, what are you doing? Let's have 12 and then go out. Ring a dealer. She's having none of that. So yeah, opposites do attract.
Come back.
I'm going to be in trouble. Oh yeah, it's because I'm allergic and he forgot. Yeah, she's to certain times.
To prosecco.
At certain times, prosecco. Yeah, she has got certain allergies.
Used the hangover excuse for? It was that bad prosecco.
So I've got that cheap prosecco you got from that car boot sale. Breen Irwin says, I put sliced loaves in the freezer that have lasted longer. King Dino, going back to the Dharma thing, says the Coppers were just as incompetent as Premier League refs. Nice. Bob Bates says, I'll never listen to Please Don't Go again without a shiver down my spine. Tanvir Manchester 982 says, a girl who I know recommended I watch the Dharma Netflix drama, and I thought to myself, what the fuck? Watched till the end though. Do you know what me and Irv just watched? Me and Mrs. watched that The Watcher. Have you seen that?
No, I don't think so. Is that Mila Kunis?
No, it's trying to think who's in it. Naomi Watts is in it.
Right, okay.
And it's based on a true story. It's about these people in America who move into this house and they start getting hate mail, threatening letters.
It's not Idris Elba's in it?
No.
Go on.
Name some more if you want. You'll get there at the end.
Just check.
Is Roger Moore in it? Is it set in space? It's based on a true story, loosely, I think. It was all right. We watched it all the way through, like 7 episodes. I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Have you watched Inside Man? That's really good. David Tennant and Stanley Tucci, the Tucci.
No.
Oh, mate.
Is it?
It's really big. It's written by Stephen Moffat, I think I'm saying that right, who'd written the Sherlock Holmes series. Really, really
very good. I like that.
Yeah, it's really
What's it called? Inside Man?
Inside Man. Loose concept is that Stanley Tucci is a criminal on death row facing the death penalty for beheading his wife. Right. He's also a super intelligent psychiatrist. A psychologist. And then back in England, David Tennant's a priest whose son gets found with child paedophilia content on his computer, and it's just when you think you're going down one way, this like pure curves on it. You laughing at?
Yeah, why are you laughing?
Why did I say child paedophilia?
Yeah, and you start giggling like that.
James, we can do the check.
No, it just reminded me. Do you remember the guy who was in the thick of it that they had to write him out because he got caught?
Chris Langan.
Yeah, that just reminded me.
Do you know what? Me and Joe Smith were talking about this and the trouble is with the thick of it, the best series to me are the first 2 series with Chris Langan in, but he's obviously tainted because the guy's an idiot. Well, he's more than an idiot, obviously.
An idiot?
Yeah, I don't want to dismiss what he did.
You refer to them as pedos. Those ruddy idiots with the sex pesty ways. Is that what
Our babysitter's a bit of an idiot. He's been done for child pornography.
Yeah.
What? Oh yeah, a bit of an idiot. No, obviously disgusting specimen. But his excuse was that he was studying for a part. He played a victim and he watched it because he was studying for a part. I'm not saying that's true, but he obviously went to jail for it, rightly so.
Didn't that happen as well with Pete Townshend as well out the Who?
Really? We haven't got an illegal team here, so let's put allegedly. We're not sure.
Allegedly,
right?
I think there's some. He was working on some play or something, and they found some content. Something on a computer.
Yeah, listen. If you're going to play a victim of paedophilia, you don't need to look at paedophilia. Look at child pornography, Do you know what I mean?
He was arrested on child porn charges.
Yeah. Who?
Pete Townsend.
Well,
But was he charged and convicted?
I don't think so.
That's the thing, but mud sticks, doesn't it? I was thinking, you don't think when people are in the public eye, we could talk about people who play for our football club. I mean, we'll try and swerve it, but
yeah, let's swerve it whilst it's ongoing.
But what I'm saying to you is that should their names be brought forward if they've not been found guilty of anything? I know it's really difficult because of how the world works.
I think the argument is, and you know, so you could argue it's a flawed argument. Potentially, sometimes more victims can come forward.
But would that be the case in anybody, though?
Not necessarily.
So how is that like a fair and equal trial? Because am I right in saying that there was probably more anonymity around the Welsh wizard that used to play for United when he was having an affair?
Yeah, but that was because he had an injunction out, super injunction. And, you know, super injunction is different because it's a legal thing where you brought out an injunction. And also you could argue that, I think, you know, public interest is a thing, and it's like, is that in the public interest?
Yeah.
So knowing that he was having an affair, probably not. Or you could argue that.
Because of social media now, injunctions are pointless because everyone can go on Twitter and say who it is.
Yeah.
So they don't work.
They don't, you're right. There is like what is it? It's like a hyper injunction or whatever, where you can't know when injunction's been taken out.
Well, I think that's the super injunction.
I
should know because I did a
that was the one that Giggs had, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And it was the Scottish paper, wasn't it, that blew him in the end, and it just put like the Tory's eyes out and said, "This is the man."
And also, you know, does that injunction work in, say, I don't know, South Africa? Could someone there tweet what's going on? Yeah. And you go, well, he's got an injunction on there. Well, not in our country, Ant. Yeah, it does seem like the fault. It's a good, you know, question, and I get the argument of people can have their lives ruined by accusations that aren't necessarily true. Yeah. I'm not saying that's the case in this, the one we're referring to, but it can happen. I think, you know, the sort of difficulty is that, one, sometimes social media gets hold of it, and also once you're going into court and stuff like that, people can see who you are.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Remember the old like kiss and tell stories that people used to use the sun with all the time?
Yeah.
And that's like, I think that in a way that's a bit unfair because they want that to come out so they can almost get a profile of it. Like, yeah.
Not to change the subject, which is obviously very important, but I also want to bring this up quickly. The Walk-In with Stephen Graham on ITV, based on a true story, is very good. Have you seen that?
No.
Me and my missus watched that. Brilliant. I love Stephen Graham. He's my favourite Scouser. It's a true story based on basically this far right group who were trying to murder. They were trying to murder an MP. It's just after Joe Cox. They were plotting to kill an MP. Stephen Graham plays, I think he's called Matthew Collins. I might be getting that one wrong. Forgive me if I am. Who's a reformed far right guy who now works for Hope Not Hate. He connects with someone who's a member of this far right group, and they basically give him the info to bring this group down. Okay. Really fascinating, really good, as you'd expect. Stephen Graham, fantastic performance. I think it's Leanne Best, I think, plays his missus, and it's really good. Because at one point they've got this reformed neo-Nazi living with them, and they've got a family, and they have to keep moving because they keep getting threats, they keep getting found out where they are, because all the sort of far right hate him because he used to be one of them and now he works against them. Really brilliant. Yeah, if I could recommend one thing, I'd recommend The Walk-In. Should we talk about refs?
Yes, let's please change the subject from people.
Hit that like button as well, please, people. We've got 30 likes and over 100 people watching. We can do better than that. This weekend, you can see from that thumbnail, one of the pictures, the quality's not great. Scott McTominay puts his arm around Brozier, I think it is, penalty. Then you go to the Southampton game and your man there fouls Jesus. Not a penalty. Are we seeing inconsistency on referees and VAR and all that? Do you feel like that's a thing?
That's why VAR was brought in.
Yeah, I mean, supposedly
it's not working.
I don't mind, right? I personally, I'll be honest with you, thought the McTominay one was a penalty. I think if you put your arms around a player in the box, you're asking for trouble.
He's stopping him playing there,
yeah.
Isn't there, so.
And I think McTominay, you know, needs to be a bit smarter than that. He's not a kid anymore. He's played a lot of football. He's clever enough to know if you do that, especially away at Stamford Bridge, it's going to be a penalty. Just don't do it. But then less than 24 hours later, you see almost identical, really. Arms around someone, around Jesus. All right, you can argue Jesus makes a bit of a meal of it. But is that not similar? Is that not the same?
Yeah.
Is that not inconsistent? Or is it different?
So. But I mean, personally, I think away from before VAR was there, and one of my biggest gripes of it is that I liked the human element that refs could make mistakes, and I think they come under more scrutiny now because of VAR, and it doesn't seem to be banishing them all. We're just detracting from the conversation about how the football was. But I liked going away from the match and not being able to see whether it was or a penalty. There's always the argument in the pub or the stands and stuff like that. And I think we sort of lost something when we brought VAR. But I don't know if the Southampton one was.
Well, let's get into chat. First of all, King Dino says, so Rooney isn't your favourite Scouser. Good point, he is, I forgot. All right, Steve Graham's my second favourite Scouser.
None of the Beatles?
No.
Robert Carlyle?
He's Scottish.
He wasn't in Cracker.
Do you know what? 20 years I've had of this.
John Bishop, do you like him?
John Bishop?
I went to see him, he's all right, yeah.
He's not from Liverpool, though, is he?
Where's he from?
Is he a woolly back?
What is a woolly bat?
A wool.
A wool? Is this like,
He's like
Birkenhead or something? St Helens?
Well, no, mate.
Widnes?
Yeah, Wirral, that's the
The
one.
Wirral, right.
I might be doing him a disservice. Not Jamie Carragher. Who's your worst Scouser? Which one don't you like? Top of the list. Sooners?
You're just saying people that play for Liverpool now, are you? Like, that's because I do that. If they play for Liverpool, I cast them as a Scouser, and then people go, he's not actually Scouser, he's Scottish. I don't know, you know. I don't know. There's no one.
Don't mind Scousers.
I'm not as. I know people might think, oh, it's part of my shtick. He's a man, he hates Scousers, but I don't really. I've done. I did a thing for CBS with Jamie Carragher, and we got on. Yeah. Both he slagged off the Glazers, so I was all for that. Do you know what I mean? And I actually think that a lot of the time, not all the time. And listen, I love rivalry. I love it when we beat Liverpool. You know what I mean? I love it if we beat them. You need rivalry, and Liverpool are my main rivals. Or personally, that's the fixture I look for. I don't like Liverpool Football Club, obviously, and I love it when they lose, and it's great. But there's a lot of similarities from what working class Scousers going through. Yeah, go through with Manx. You know, similar sort of poverty that some of us experience, and you know, struggling for jobs and stuff. And it's why sometimes when we fire certain shots, I just feel we're better than that.
Horrible,
and I don't mean to be all hands around across the ocean, but there's enough we can give Scousers shit for without going down the road of you're all skinny, you've got no jobs and all that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, even the Hillsborough stuff as well, I don't understand.
Well, no, I'm not. I'm never going to defend that. It's just ridiculous.
There's so many things you could take the piss out of Liverpool for, and you choose the one thing where it could have been anyone, and by doing that, you actually choose to be on the side of the authorities who treat football fans like scum. It's the same with things like ticket prices or things like that. And especially in Germany, you see a lot more with their fans. They work together on collective issues, where I think in the UK, our fan culture is so much about banter and point scoring that the bigger picture is often missed out.
I think that's a good point, James. I do. Well, and I agree with that. Whose side are you on? And when I was a reporter, I interviewed Sheila Coleman a few times. An absolutely inspirational woman. Going back to some of the comments, King Dino says, I don't think the Southampton one was a pen. Paul Jones says, definite pen. Honestly, Tanvir, Manchester.
The thing is, though, we're arguing about this now, 2 days after the match.
Yeah.
Do you think we should ridicule him if we can't decide now and we've seen TV footage and we've still got between me, you, and people to watch?
And me and you disagree?
Yeah, I think the Southampton wasn't, and I think the Chelsea one was.
Maybe, because I'll be honest with you, I thought they were both penalties. I do. I thought if you're going to give one, you give the other. I just thought he's got his arms around him. He's pulled him down. For me, that's a penalty.
I mean, if that's the picture, his arms around him, but I don't think...
I mean, that is a still. He does it twice, though, as well. He does it, realises he's doing it, and then does it again. I think part of the problem is, and I think Sancho suffered from this a little bit the other week against Newcastle. Sometimes things that are technically a penalty don't get given because of the player's reaction. And I think that sometimes Jesus makes a meal of things. And it's like with the Sancho one, he arched his back and threw himself back, which looks unnatural. And I think that played a little part in the referee's decision. Yeah. And I just wonder there, because Jesus has got this sort of reputation now. He's done it quite a lot since he's gone to Arsenal. He did it against Liverpool and he got a penalty, to be fair. And I just wonder, our refs looking at it going, do you know what I mean? But then you go, well, I don't know, man. I just think they're very similar. I think they're similar enough that if one's one, another one is. What do you think, Youngie? Am I in the minority? Yeah.
I don't know. The McTominay one was a penalty, I think. But then I think the problem is with VAR, especially, is that you said the consistency has to be there. You can't say one's a penalty and one isn't when it's like, I think they both are, to be honest.
I think the part of the problem with VAR is it was meant to be making everything easier, and it's just not, has it?
No.
And now people are like, if that's the ref, you go, fine. Refs can miss something. The ref's behind the play.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, but now you've got VAR. You go, well, why haven't VAR sorted that out?
You just, for me, they've just scrutinised the referees more. There was the time where you go, like, all right, referee made a mistake today. And how many times during the season did you see a manager go, oh, you get your rub of the green sooner or later? You know, that used to be the case. You get some decisions go for you 1 week and some don't. I'm just tired of the whole sort of and losing the sort of humanity of the sport, really, I think.
Yeah.
But it builds on this idea of that there was a problem before that needed fixing, and there wasn't. I don't remember a massive amount of people saying, "Oh, we need VAR."
No, I think people as well got carried away, and it's completely irrelevant. With is it Hawkeye, the goal line thing?
Goal line technology, but that's different.
That's what I mean. It's completely irrelevant because that is scientific.
It works.
Yeah, it works. You know what I mean? It's like you can see there's a ball there. It's crossed the line. We had it in that Chelsea game. No one's arguing with that, going, "Oh, that's wrong."
Yeah,
that's not. It didn't cross the line.
But that's the problem, isn't it? Because you're bringing in something that is still open to making mistakes to fix other people's mistakes, whereas that one was it's cut and dry, isn't it? It either is or it isn't.
Yeah.
So that's why it's just such a flawed system, the VAR.
It is a flawed system. We're getting some of the comments. Let us know what you think about the penalties. Lots of people still talk about the Scouse thing. Apparently, Miss Man United. Missy says, from the Wirral, I think he's a woolly bat, I think. Or she's laughing at that, I think what you said. Tanvir, Manchester 982 says John Aldridge. King Dino says Gerrard is the worst Scouser. Sander Notch says, I love China Crisis. They were from Kirby, I think he means. I'll hold my hands up. Paul Jones says Gerrard, good call. Heaven Soul says, the rivalry stops outside the stadium. I will always back Scousers versus the Sun, for example, or the government. Great point. David Jones says, a true Scouser is born within the sound... I don't know if this is a joke or is this true.
No, I think that's true, you know.
A true Scouse is born within the sound of the 1 o'clock gun at Birkenhead on the Wirral facing the Liverpool seafront.
So, yeah, I think that's how they judge it by.
Is that like with Cockneys with the Bow Bells?
Or Yonners with Manchester.
What's Yonners? I've heard this a few times. I don't even know what it is.
People from like Oldham and... Well, I had this discussion, right, with someone on Saturday and I got quite animated, right? Said, where are you from?
You having an animated discussion. I refuse to believe that. You know what I love about James, right? He talks to you like as your mate and he's just telling you something, but he acts like he's ready to chin you when he's just telling you a story. Yeah. Like, he looks genuinely like he could 1 hour one of us now. And he's just telling us something.
There was this girl, right? And I said, where are you from? And she said, Manchester. And I said, where? And she said,
I hope you didn't say like that.
No.
Where?
I said...
I'm from Manchester. Where?
I said, where? And she went, Wigan. And I went, that's not Manchester. That's not Manchester. I'm sorry. No. Doesn't count.
I mean, did you speak like that to her? Or did you just have to go, well, I don't think that's weird.
I think he was worse because he'd have had a beer.
Drink.
And it's probably loud.
How's your success rate when talking about geography?
Have we got the remote? Have you got the silver remote, James? Go to the wide and chuck me the silver remote before this goes off.
Is James making his appearance now on Scotty and Motti?
Yeah. No, the silver one. Is that the silver one? The silver one.
The black one.
No, I need the silver remote. I tell you what. If this goes off, we're gonna.
Yeah. So if you pay £2 extra a month on that Patreon, we'll definitely get a producer that knows how to work a TV screen. My dad's doing nothing on a Monday night. Here we go. Comedy gold.
Oh, it's gone off now.
It's gone now.
Right, switch to my. No, don't forget it. We're nearly done anyway.
I don't have the silver one.
Oh, my
right.
days.
So if there's anyone out there that knows how to produce a YouTube channel,
yes, please get in touch. Right, switch to my single. There you go. There we go. You see, you can only see a corner of the screen. We are going to wrap it up soon anyway because we've done enough. King Dino says James has great people skills.
James, what do you reckon is your best personality trait?
What do you think?
No. What do you think your like when you're chatting to people when you're getting to the pants? What move do you go for? What card do you pull out?
I don't know. Not. I don't normally speak to them, to be honest.
Oh, all right. Okay, just look. Just give them the eye.
No.
Yeah.
I just give them the eye, yeah. Because I'm quite tall, so I don't need to speak to them.
What, to have sex?
No. Whoa,
Quite tall. I don't need to speak to them.
That sounds dodgy. No, not in that way. So if I'm in a club, right, and I'm with them, normally I make eye contact. Then, if they're interested, they'll come over. We'll dance with each other. Things will escalate, and then Then one of us will ask the question, and then that's when things will.
I'm still, just before we go though, I'm still curious about this conversation you had with this lady because she says, you say where you're from.
Yeah.
She says Manchester. You say whereabouts, right? Which is so far reasonable conversation. Yeah. She says Wigan, and what did you say?
So that's not Manchester.
Right. So that's not the right answer, is it? Like, if I'm not being funny. Like, if I'm here, I'm thinking, who's this guy? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, why are you starting some shit? So what did she say to that?
And she said, yeah, it is. It's great at Manchester. I said, no, it isn't.
Always start off with an argument when you're trying to chat to a girl or a lad.
What's your success
Always start off
rate
with an
like,
argument.
James?
What's with this interrogation?
I just find it fascinating, your approach to this lady. It's
any lady. It's just looking at
arguing with him. Or where are you from?
I wasn't trying to pull her.
Right.
She was my mate's friend that I was in the pub with.
Right. Also, he's great at Manchester, not Manchester. You're not having that.
Not having. No, Wigan's not Manchester. I'm not having that.
It's one of the Wigan. It's one of the Mancunian boroughs, or the Great Manchester boroughs, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sam Vane, Manchester United.
Right,
Who just said that?
What did it matter to you?
Nothing. It's just.
Right. So why fight?
I didn't fight.
You always seem to have a hill.
He's always got.
He's always got a hill on him.
He just can't let it go, that lad. He just can't go. Wigan, all right, great at Manchester, all right, yeah. I know Wigan. Whereabouts in Wigan you from? All right, yeah, I've been there. Whatever. Oh, I used to go Wigan. No, it's like where? Wigan. Yeah. No, that's not Manchester. What are you on about, you dickhead? What are you talking to? John Glasser, I'll smash your fucking head in.
I'll take you down the East Lancs and show you where Manchester
you stupid
starts.
Fucking knobhead. Don't ever chat to me again. He's getting glassed. Is that how it went down? No. All right. Listen, we're going to wrap it up.
Yeah, for more of James Young's love conquests or lack of, and more Scotty and Motty, we should be back next week. But thank you, everybody who's watched tonight. Make sure you're subscribing, pressing the like button, and also if you are on the Patreon page now,
click the Patreon.
I'll put you on that camera because the thing's turned off, so it's still on Sky.
James, I'm pitching here, man. You can't jump in. Right, so I'll start again. It's only £2 a month. If you do want to see some more of the content and some of the articles that we're writing, one of them is going to be a really, really long hate message about finding a new producer. But until next week, I've been Scott pissing himself over there.
What is going on? I love the fact he's just leaving the camera on Scotty now as well. You can switch to my camera now.
Hang on, there we are.
But I tell you what, if you want, I'll come over there and press the button for you. Right. Big thanks to James for his sterling effort as a producer here. Heaven Soul says, first time watching live. Cheers, lads. It was a great one. Heaven Soul, thanks for that. You're obviously lying about it being a great one, but we appreciate the sentiment. And I have to apologise.
I don't know what he watches. Yeah, he thought this was a great show.
He's 8 spliffs in. I'll apologise. You can go to the wide. We'll have the blank screen on for 5 seconds.
Let's say goodbye together.
Do you know what I mean? That just sums up this evening, to be honest with you. The production values on here. The telly went off. But big thanks to everyone who got involved in the chat and the comments. We appreciate everyone who's supported us since we started doing this. We've had a reet laugh. We'll have an extra video out later on this week. We'll have another video out on the Patreon and an article by the great our kid David Scott over there. I've been Motty. That's been Scotty. That's been the soon-to-be sacked James Young.
Yeah, and before we go, I've got a gig on Wednesday night at Basque in Stockport if anyone wants to come down. And as I put on my social media, I think it's like a £5 for a ticket. But if you're out there and you haven't got much money and you do fancy coming along, drop us a message and I'll put you on the guest list for now. No problem at all. But until Wednesday for see you then, or next week for us, Scotty.
Motty.
Say Motty there.